We are joined now by Donald Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. Welcome. Welcome back to This Week. Well, you just heard Robbie Mook right there define a victory. What's a victory for Donald Trump?
A victory for Donald Trump tomorrow night is answering the questions and showing America that he's ready to be president and commander-in-chief on day one. I noticed from the Washington Post ABC poll, George just released, that the number one and number two issues to Americans are economy and terrorism, and Donald Trump is leading Hillary Clinton on who you trust more on both issues. So we certainly hope this debate tomorrow night will be about substantive issues. But, you know, I just have to push back a little bit on my colleague Robbie there. Donald Trump's out there every single day talking about issues. He was in 5 or 6 swing states just this week, and every single time it was a policy speech. So tomorrow will be nothing new for him. It's Hillary Clinton and her super PACs that have run $250 million of negative ads and negative outreach about Donald Trump, and she refuses to spend a lot of time out in the sun talking about issues.
You heard his concern. He talked about that double standard. He's afraid that Donald Trump's going to be able to get away with lying. That's what he said. Your response? I
think they're really afraid that Hillary Clinton is just not a very good candidate. A majority of Americans don't much like her, and according to your own poll, don't trust her. Donald Trump is actually leading Hillary Clinton on the attribute of who's more honest and trustworthy in your own ABC poll that came out this morning. So I think they're worried about many things. Hillary Clinton should have been in a much better position. She's not known for her abundance of self-awareness or being nimble or resilient. They never saw Barack Obama coming in 2008. They never took Bernie Sanders seriously. Earlier this year, he won 22 states and millions of voters. And they certainly never anticipated the Trump comeback that we've seen over the last 5 weeks.
But on this issue of honesty, you know, the independent fact-checkers PolitiFact have looked at about 250 statements of each candidate. They have 48 pants on fire, the worst kind of lie, they said, comments by Donald Trump, only 6 for Clinton, 89 false statements by Donald Trump, only 27 for Clinton.
You know, if you're running against a Clinton, veracity is certainly always on the table. I mean, this is a woman who's 5 people who were involved with her email scandal were granted immunity. She's not very fond of the Second Amendment, of course, but she seems very fond of the Fifth Amendment, including her attorney, Cheryl Mills, who was granted immunity and then somehow was able to represent her as an attorney. So Hillary Clinton's casual relationship with the truth is well known to Americans. I'm sure we'll see it on full display tomorrow night. And I really don't appreciate campaigns thinking it is the job of the media to go and be these virtual fact checkers and that these debate moderators should somehow do their bidding. They picked on Matt Lauer after the commander-in-chief debate for him. We thought he did a great job, but they didn't like the fact that Hillary Clinton was asked about her email server and her vote in Iraq. That's not Matt Lauer's fault. And Lester Holt, he's a respected, brilliant newsman. He'll do a good job tomorrow night as a moderator. It's not his job.
That's what you're saying right there, but it's not what your boss has said. Donald Trump this week is saying, oh boy, Lester Holt's going to be under tremendous pressure. He's a Democrat, when in fact, Lester Holt is a registered Republican.
Well, as I say, he's certainly going to be a good debate moderator tomorrow, in that I trust that all of these moderators, George, for all the debates, including the VP debate next week, will be asking questions that benefit the voter. Voters deserve, and they indeed expect, a good debate on the issues. This will be the first time Americans have seen Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on the same stage. And they're going to be able to make their choice based on what they see and what is said. And I can understand why the Clinton camp is very nervous, because Donald Trump's got great presence stature. He's a brilliant debater. Newt Gingrich put it best. The former speaker recently said, Donald Trump is the best debater he's ever seen. He's like the Babe Ruth of debating. He really shows up and swings and does a great job. And he's a brilliant businessman who's got a great record, and we're very much looking forward to tomorrow night.
We also saw that tweet from your boss about Gennifer Flowers. She says she wants to be the debate tomorrow night. Why put out that tweet?
Well, why? No, the question really is, why does Mark Cuban have to put out tweets saying it's the humbling at Hofstra? I'm going to be there for the takedown of Donald Trump. I mean, I expect Hillary Clinton to have a billionaire.
For Donald Trump. Why did he send out that tweet?
Because he wants to remind people that he's a great counterpuncher. They started this one by saying that they would give a front row seat to Mark Cuban, who, by the way, until very recently was very favorable towards Donald Trump and his candidacy, had some great criticisms of Hillary Clinton and her education plan, at the very least, and now all of a sudden is for Team Clinton. This debate should not be about what billionaire can Hillary Clinton put in the front row. This debate should be about how do we defeat radical Islamic terrorism? How do we stimulate the economy? 29% of Americans, according to your own poll, say that they're better off under the Obama
So do you
economy.
want Gennifer Flowers there?
She has not been invited by the campaign. She has a right to be there if somebody else gives her a ticket. But you know, I do think also it shows the poor judgment and lack of nimbleness of the Clinton campaign that they actually put a statement out last night about Gennifer Flowers being invited, that it shows how easily provoked Donald Trump is. No, you just put out a statement and reminded people who had no idea, taught people who had no idea who Gennifer Flowers is, that she's the woman who said she had a 12-year affair with your husband when he was governor.
You talked about Mr. Trump being out on the stump this week. One of the things he said this week is that African-American communities are in the worst shape they've ever been. President Obama responded in an interview with Robin Roberts.
I think even most 8-year-olds will tell you that whole slavery thing wasn't very good for black people. Jim Crow wasn't very good for black people.
So are African-American communities really in the worst shape they've ever been?
So you have to read everything that Donald Trump was saying, and it's too bad that the president is so glib about these issues. But Donald Trump...
The president's glib about race issues?
No. He was very, George, he was just very glib about what referring to an 8-year-old. What Donald Trump is talking about in his speeches is rebuilding the inner cities, is bringing more jobs there, is tackling full-on poverty and joblessness and homelessness in the inner cities and crime. I mean, there are 3,000 people have been shot in Chicago this year, 500 dead, and we're not going to have a serious conversation about crime in the inner cities. And so I think that I really applaud Donald Trump for having this conversation in and about the inner cities. He went to a black church in Detroit several weeks ago, taking his case directly to the people. You don't see many Republican candidates do that, particularly when they're running for president. So I appreciate the fact that President Obama has his perspective, but I think Donald Trump should also be applauded for actually trying to make a difference in these communities.
One of the issues the African-American communities have with Mr. Trump is this whole birther issue. He's only been asked about it once since that press conference last week. Do you expect the issue to come up tomorrow night? And if it does, will Mr. Trump apologize to President Obama?
So Donald Trump stated very clearly a week ago Friday how he feels about this issue. He said 3 very crisp, very important things. Those are his words. And I expect that he would say them again in the debate. I don't know if it'll come up. That's up to Lester Holt and I guess Secretary Clinton if they feel like raising that. But this is an issue that Donald Trump has addressed very recently in his own words. So everybody can go back and look at that. That's a very personal thing. What Donald Trump has said is the people who raised this at the beginning should apologize. He wasn't running against Hillary Clinton in 2008. He wasn't running against Barack Obama in 2008 in a very vicious, nasty primary for president. That was Hillary Clinton. And according to
Hillary
McClatchy
Clinton and her
News
campaign
people,
did not bring this up.
Really, the volunteer guy in Iowa who then was fired, Patty Solis Doyle, telling Wolf Blitzer last week, yeah, it started with him. The McClatchy, former news chief in D.C., saying that Sid Blumenthal came and asked him to go and investigate Obama's ties in Kenya. And McClatchy actually sent a reporter to Kenya. Donald Trump was busy being a successful businessman that year. It was Hillary Clinton who, again, never saw Obama coming, so I guess they resorted to desperate tactics.
Kellyanne Conway, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.